that I'm the history guy in this channel. So let's bring up a little bit of history. You know, when we reflect back on the last 40, 50 years, often it's with nostalgia. You know, even Richard Nixon, who no one admitted after the second time he got elected that they had really voted for him because he was impeached, very almost impeached, and it was ugly. But go back in history, and now all of a sudden we're, thinking, oh, Nixon wasn't that bad. And that's how it happens with history. But what happens if you're the one who led to global war? Would history treat you anywhere as nicely? Hi, everybody. I'm David Solomon. Welcome back to the Monday edition of the Rant Network. He is Stuart Brisgell. He's actually here, people. He's still here. We generally dive into raw, unfiltered issues spanning the news, politics, pop culture, and so much more. If this is your first time, welcome to our show. If it's not your first time, welcome back, because we love dissecting all this garbage, absurdity in life, these deep-seated issues. And today, we're going to take apart a bunch of people, including one famously hating senator. I wonder if you can guess who that may be. Stuart, one of the things that and as we prepared for this, I mentioned off air was back in 2015, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, was invited to give a speech to a joint session of Congress. At the time, Netanyahu was criticized harshly that this would ruin the relationship between Israel and the United States. Obama admittedly was very hardcore pro-Palestinian and was looking for any way to create a Palestinian state. He wanted to go down in history as the man with the Palestinian state. But sure enough, he only wanted it one way. Netanyahu pushed back. And where Netanyahu pushed back the most was on the Iran deal, this whole deal that would arm Iran. His session in Congress was well received in Congress, and he did his utmost to try to stall a deal that Obama basically said, I don't care. 9 years later, Stuart, here we are. So how should we remember Obama based on that? And how should we be viewing some of today's politicians who are about to make a similar decision?
Well, we did discuss in the beginning that you're the history buff. And we are going to start off with an 82-year-old, nearly irrelevant senator who's a member of the squad from the illustrious state of Vermont, where Ben and Jerry's seems to be in line with Bernie's views. Anti-Israel, anti-Jewish, pro-everything that involves anarchy or communism. He calls himself, though, as a social democrat or a democratic socialist so that he could stay partially relevant in American politics. And, a man whose Jewish roots are his parents from Poland, he denies discussing anything of the sort growing up in Brooklyn, New York. It's almost like he's the Jewish kid that all the Jewish kids didn't like because he was a little weird. He was a little bananas. He wants free everything. Well, so do I, Bernie. I want everything for free. I think David does too. But David and I, where we differ from you, Bernie, we realize that there is no such thing as a free lunch. And, Bernie Sanders' phone number is 802-862-0697. And if you don't believe me, you can call Bernie up directly and ask Bernie, why are you such a Jew-hating Jew? Now, there are Black people who deprivate Black people, Indian people who deprivate Indian people, Arabs. I mean, it's nonstop. It exists in every culture. There are Christians that say you're not Christian enough. It just exists all over the board. Maybe it's because of religion, but then again, it's nationalism. Americans that hate America. We just talked about in our last episode with people on college campuses hating the country in which they live and get educated in. And the squad is licking their chops. how an AOC can be elected and stay in power in the great state of New York from the Bronx is beyond me. These multi-million-dollar whores suck the life out of everyone around them and the country in which empowers them. And it's not to help you or me. It's to help the only person that matters to them. Because they're narcissists. It's themselves. And without it, you literally will not find another person. David.
Well, while Stuart is like getting attacked by his phone, here's the thing that's sad. And the reason we brought in Benjamin Netanyahu, because like I said, he's about to, in July, he will address the joint sessions of Congress. And the one thing that is kind of crazy about this is Bernie Sanders immediately said there's not a chance in hell to listen to Netanyahu. And you know why, Stuart? Really simple. Really, really simple.
Why? What? How?
Anyone who's to the right of Bernie Sanders is the enemy.
David, 100%. 100%. Bibi Netanyahu got verbally accosted by Chucky Schumer. But the difference between Chucky Schumer and Bernie Sanders is Chucky's been present for everything else, where Bernie's been absent. Now, I still have a disdain towards Chucky getting involved in Israeli politics, calling for the ousting of a leader, which I think is unforgivable.
He just called for an election. Come on. It's not interfering.
Yeah, okay. Chucky, Yom Kippur's coming soon. You better hit the chest a little harder this year than you did last. Listen, it's a fact. It is wrong. Bernie Sanders is a Jew by name, which he denies. So is that a Jew? A Jew that would cause harm and request harm to another Jew is not a Jew. It really isn't. It's Amalek, David. But again, our listeners don't even know what that broadcast means. But at the end of the day, what in the world and where are we going with all this vitriolness from the squad?
Look, Stuart, you've kind of, to me, the point of this rant was not only to kind of expose Bernie for the kind of individual that he is, but to me, it's the individuals who are sitting there in Congress, in the Senate, and are sitting there and are like licking their chops because of the financial gains that they can make, the media, the coverage they'll get, the power they can wield. It's all wonderful and dandy. But at the end of the day, they swore an oath. They swore an oath. And they're not keeping it. And frankly, when Hakeem Jeffries, who's the ringleader now, followed by, what's her face again? The crackpot from California? When Nancy Pelosi stands up there, vilifies an ally, just because he's a conservative, just because she does, Bernie Sanders believes he is right. Everything he says, he's right. He can't be wrong. And as a politician, you can't be wrong, apparently. And AOC has proven it.
Well, listen, Nancy Pelosi, very pro the San Francisco kind of, insanity. They allowed an immigrant who should have been turned out of this country, beat the shit out of her husband, and she's prosecuting the guy. Well, they're just hypocrites, David.
Again, let's go off the track here, please. Let's keep on the track here, folks, and let's talk about how history is going to remember Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, forget about the fact her husband was, attacked and whatever we're going to call it, Stuart. Nancy Pelosi got rich.
Okay? Very rich.
You know what? She got rich off of all kinds of things. And you know what? She could sit on one side and say, I'm above the law. I'm above morality. I'll go to the hairdresser during COVID. It's okay. All these things are fine. And no one's going to say boo about it. But here we're talking about a global scenario, a real pivot moment in history. In the 21st century, we have not seen this, a precipice of a global conflict. And yet, AOC and Bernie care more about their political lives than they care about the lives of the Americans they swore to protect. They care more about their bank accounts. And I don't care that Bernie says, hey, give money away. You give money away, my ass. You're rich like you can't imagine. So stop pretending who you really are. But to sit there and to say that no leader from any country, especially the Jewish state, I will not listen to you no matter what. Israel is an ally. Israel saved the United States from numerous attacks by the Russians, by terrorism, because of the relationship between the two countries. And your way of saying thank you to your ally is by saying fuck you and walk away.
Yeah. David,
Brilliant, Bernie. Brilliant. But right, Stuart talked about the Ben and Jerry mindset, the granola head mindset of Vermont. You guys you must be correct. I can't call you right because that's offensive. You're on the left. So therefore, you must be correct with everything that you believe in. Bernie, history is going to remember you badly. The man
who forgets, he's the son of a Polish immigrant family.
Who cares for him? He doesn't care. He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. But that's the point. He doesn't care. One of the most important things I learned is you got to know where you came from to understand where you're going.
Oh, he doesn't care.
And he doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
You know what else about Bernie? Other than his phone number that I announced? I think it's time America just start calling his office.
Stuart, America's not going to call his office because you know what? He's an old man who's on his way out the door because I can't imagine he's going to be there long enough. The state of Vermont's going to elect another one just like him. The problem is that the Democratic Party, if they were true to their word that said that they're the allies, not just to Israel, but to the Jewish people that they claim to defend. Remember, this is the thing. They claim to defend minorities. They claim to defend those that, and they don't. And when you have a Bernie and an AOC and a Cory Bush and a Rashida Tlaib and an Elon Omar and an Akeem Jeffries and all these individuals, history is going to remember you badly. And when it's time for Benjamin Netanyahu to show up in Congress in July, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not going to be present. But you want to know what? Those people should put away their phones, computers, all the medicine that they're taking, all the climate stuff that Israel is providing them, and just say, I'm sorry, I have no access to it because I refuse to support my ally in Israel. Therefore, you should be denied using technology, medicine, and all the stuff that you benefit from because it came out of Israel. Oh, yeah, by the way, your drivers can't use Waze anymore. And oh, by the way, the soda stream that you bought, you got to get rid of it.
All right, David. We've been going on and on and on, like we said in another broadcast, over 3.5 years. And you know what? The common theme for 3.5 years is just telling people what is just out there. It doesn't take rocket science to come up with these answers.
No.
David, and we joke about it, we pick at each other. But at the end of the day, these are people we talk about with vitriol hate. I don't hate anyone, David. Do you?
You know what, Stuart? I don't hate people. I hate their ideologies. I hate their selfishness, and I hate most of all their arrogance. And to me, I get it. A lot of you have to have an ego to be a politician, and I get whatever. But you know what? And with this, I'm going to wrap it up. Love them or hate them, there are politicians out there who will tell you as it is, and you know who I'm talking about. And you know what? They don't like that because he's too brash. He's too whatever. I get it. And when Donald Trump stands up and says something like that, it pisses you off. So if you would rather have soft-spoken liars like the ones I listed, starting with Bernie Sanders, who essentially lied to Americans time and time again, if that's what you want as your leadership, you deserve what you have. Last word to you, Stuart.
It's time to go, David, and we'll see them all on Friday.
You better, but well, no, we're saying Wednesday. We're still on Monday. Folks, thanks. You forgot what day of the week it is. Thanks, everybody, for the rant for today. We hope you enjoyed something from this. We broadcast Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. We do not edit. We don't tweak. We just broadcast as is. As you hear it is as we've spoken it. Not one tweak, not one change. We're all over social media. We're all over the web. Please visit us at therantnetwork.com. We're all over Instagram, Facebook, you name it. Please like us, share us, and engage with us. We'd love to hear your comments. And until next time, Stuart, say goodbye to the fine folks.
Goodbye, fine